The effort. I think that's the key.
It is, dude. Because then if I do the effort and it panned out, great. If I did the effort and didn't pan out, great. Because at least I took the effort. And I think a lot of us are so attached to what the outcome is going to be that we never take the action to actually achieve the outcome. And so we stay in that same, like we regurgitate the same cycle of suck because you never move out of the hole. So that's a big thing for me. And then I also, when I have bad days, I borrow joy from people.
Tell me about that, man. I like that.
Yeah. There are a bunch of good people in the world that I have in my circle. And whenever we have bad days, the biggest thing we think in our head is, I don't want to burden someone with my negativity. So I'm not going to call my friends. But I have never had a person who's called me and asked for help or been in a funky place and gone, oh, this sucks. I'm like, hell yeah. They think of me in that capacity to call me. Hey, how can I help you? And I want to give them a piece of my joy. Now, I said borrow instead of take, because I think if you have someone who gives you some joy, your job's to give it away at some point. So I legit, like, I go in and say, how can I borrow joy? And if you just go around people who are in good moods, they're going to get you to a good mood. I've never been around like in a funky mood and I got my buddy who's super happy. He's always like, let's go, man. Let's go do this. Like, you're in a bad mood. Let's go hang out. Let's go watch a movie. Let's go get a meal. Like, they want to go do stuff. So find people to be around that are joyful and borrow joy. You are not a burden. You're a blessing.
That was beautifully said. I love that. And I want to go back to one thing you mentioned here that I wrote down, which was, you said you want to focus on the effort, and that's the key. And I think that I want to retouch on that, because the people listening in, the key to that is when you make a mistake, you can go back to fixing the effort, right? Now you can go and say, hey, well, first, it's on me. Second, let's approach this a different way, which then goes back to your original thing, which is process and people, right? This is part of the process. Let's fix the process. Something's going on. So I love how you broke that down, man. That was awesome. All right. So how do you maintain priorities in your life? Because first, I think some people have all their priorities screwed up, but you don't. How do you maintain those great priorities in focus?
Yeah, it's always a matter of a buddy of mine years ago, he says, if there's something off in your life, show me your planner and I'll show you why. So I've always actually made my own planner. It's called a GPS planner. I made this thing because I'm like, I want to have a planner that works for my life the way I want.
Oh, damn, dude. I like that.
Yeah, it's GPS. So I talk about GPS. It's actually a planner. It's called Goal Plan Starts, GPS planner. What's the goal? What's the plan? Let me start. So yeah, what I do is I realize that like I have this ability for me to take on a whole lot and also not. So I am really good at realizing certain things don't belong in my ether now. I think we all have this thought of like, I got to get it all done. It sits in my head and it bogs me down. And I'm always aware of how much I haven't got done. So I go, you know what? This doesn't have to be done right now. It could be done in 3 months, 6 months, or next year. Let's do it then. And I leave those things out in the future. Whatever's on my plate now, I go, okay, great. Of the things I have now, I seriously just, how many hours would it take for me to get it done? And I go, okay, maybe it's 12 hours, 10 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is. And I think most of us have these open loops of, I'm going to start a podcast next Friday. It don't work like that, Bob. You have to actually, So I go and I take a look, like, what are the stages? What are the steps? I may have to, go find somebody that's give me some intro stuff. I got to get the podcast art. I got to think of a name. I got to, all the stuff you got to do. And it builds in. You may say, okay, it's going to take me 15 hours to get the podcast launched, record some episodes. That's what it takes. We'll just put that out. There's a weird one. Then I go, okay, great. Now I got these 3-4 projects. I got the hours broken down. Let me go and take a look at my life. And in my planner, I put life in first. When am I getting up and take the kids to school? When am I getting my workout? When's food taking place? What am I doing? Date days with my wife, dad days with my kids. I put it in there, but I'm always going to have in between a bunch of little highlighted spaces. I the little open space, and I put a highlighter on it. And now I go back to my projects and I go take them over to my life schedule. And I say, let me infuse this into the highlighted sections. So I may have hour 1 and 2 of 10, hour 3 and 4 of 11. I just, all the different projects, I work it all the way out up to 4 weeks or more sometimes. And now what I do is I live my life, because here's the beautiful thing that nobody notices. The biggest problem we have with getting things done and keeping priorities is because whenever I start working on project 1, if I don't have it organized in this manner, I'm working on project 1, thinking about project 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm slow to get it done. And then when I get halfway through, I'm unfocused, I'm unproductive. It's horrible. But when I show up, and if I do get something done, when I get done, it's time to be with my kids or it's time to be with my wife, I'm still thinking about what I haven't got done. So I can't be there. I said before, I wanted to want to be with my kids. Well, I wanted to get the projects done and they were lingering. In this manner, when I put the work down at 2:30, I can go, you know what? I got what I needed to get done today. Everything else is where it's supposed to be in the future. As long as I just do what I'm supposed to do in the planner, I'm good. So you know what? I'm going to watch this TV show in peace. I'm going to go take this walk in peace. And I'm still ahead of schedule because I run my life that way. So that's how I keep priorities because they're in my life.